Hey, brother.
Hey, Al.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
So good. Thank you. And welcome everyone back to another episode of Siblings in Crime. I'm Allie Rossell.
And I'm Blake Murphy.
And just as it sounds, we are siblings who love true crime.
Yes, love it.
Before we get into this week's case, if you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, all the things. It means so much to us. It really helps us out. So thank you for all those who've already done that. And please do so if you have not yet. The only thing to highlight is Blake just got his braces off.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give him a smile.
My lips numb right now.
Yeah. Looks great. Looks great. Well, let's just jump right into this week's case. What do you think?
I think that's great.
All right. So we're going to start with the day before Thanksgiving in 1971. A man in a dark suit paid $20 cash for a plane ticket from Portland to Seattle. He gave a fake name. He carried a briefcase. And somewhere between takeoff and landing, he vanished. No one was ever arrested. The clues left behind left more questions than answers. And what he pulled off has never been done since. This is the case of Dan Cooper, or also known as D.B. Cooper, and the infamous Skyjacking. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
I've never heard him called Dan before.
Yeah, I know. On some sources said that originally it was Dan and the media messed it up and put DB. And so I'll either call him Dan or DB or just probably mainly Cooper.
Okay. Sounds good.
So you're familiar with the story?
Yes.
I'm curious what you're going to think.
Alrighty.
It's the day before Thanksgiving, 1971. Rain lashes the windows of Portland International Airport. The terminal buzzes with the usual pre-holiday shuffle. You have suitcases rolling, intercoms, all the things. Travelers rush in to beat the holiday rush. At the Northwest Orient ticket counter, a man steps forward in line. He is a white male, mid-40s-ish, looking at least, with dark hair, brown eyes, and wearing a black or brown business suit. He's got a thin black clip-on tie and a black or brown raincoat with nice polished shoes, and while wearing sunglasses inside.
So he's looking stylish.
He's looking stylish. I never trust a person that wears sunglasses inside, though. I'm like,
Especially when it's raining outside.
Yeah, I'm like, where's the sun?
It's not like he walked in with them on and just kept them on.
Exactly.
Like, because he needed it. But.
It always looks sketchy. And I, for one, hardly ever wear sunglasses, so maybe I think it's more suspicious looking. But like you said, he's a classy-looking businessman. Super classy, all the things. He slides cash across the counter, which is $20 for a one-way fare. That's crazy. Obviously, it's the 70s. I think that's roughly around like $150, $160-ish dollars in today's time. So he pays in full, and at the time, of course, no ID is required, and he gives his name as Dan or D.B. Cooper. The flight in Northwest Orient flight is 305. It's a short hop from Portland to Seattle, barely 30 minutes in flight. So it's like so quick. Definitely a commuter flight.
Regional?
Yeah. And in this specific flight, there's only 36 passengers on board, a standard crew of 6 people, and it was a Boeing 727. And it was just at the gate waiting for them. I don't know how much, now I'm thinking about it, a Boeing 727 holds. I'm thinking just like around 100, 200 something.
It's probably like pretty similar to the 7.3, I'm guessing.
So maybe way more than that.
But I'll look into it.
Yes, please look it up. 727, and this was also in the 70s. So I'm imagining it's a pretty empty flight because there's only 36 people on passengers.
Oh, my last flight had like 20 people on it.
No way.
And then the one before that had, I guess the last one I had was 0 because it was a ferry. But the one before that, 20. And the one before that was like 30.
What the heck?
Yeah, it was 4th of July. I was like, why did I even fly today?
Oh, 4th of July. I don't think I've ever flown a plane that light.
Yeah, that was weird.
Well, while you look that up, Dan Cooper boards with the rest, stepping calmly onto the aircraft and walking towards the rear. And he takes his seat in 18C. It was an aisle seat toward the back of the plane. So I'm wondering how many rows there are. And he tucks his briefcase between his feet and rests his coat on the seat beside him. Once airborne, he lights a cigarette, which is very 70s, and orders a bourbon and soda from one of the flight attendants. He drinks quietly, eyes forward, And to the crew, he seems polite. He's not chatty and not rude, just another businessman on a flight before the holidays.
It says 149 to 189, depending on the configuration.
Interesting. That's a lot more than I was expecting.
Yeah, I think the 7.3 is just newer, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. So pretty comparable to the 7.3. So I'd say maybe on the lower end of 140s, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, pretty empty plane considering it can hold that many more people.
Yeah.
The plane levels out above the clouds. The rain fades into mist on the windows, and the seatbelt sign dings off. And so passengers are kind of settling in for their quick flight. They're barely at cruise. They're hitting cruise and coming right back down.
They're probably just staying at like
their cruise is probably
18,000 feet or
their
something.
Their cruise is probably super low.
Yeah.
The smell of cigarette smoke hangs low, and conversation is minimal, obviously. They're just trying to get to and from. A flight attendant named Florence Schaffner begins her walk down the aisle. She's young and doing her job. As she approaches C-18C, the man with the briefcase, Dan, or DB, turns slightly and hands her a note. Now, this is nothing unusual. Like, Florence herself says that it's not uncommon. Just get slips of paper from men.
Numbers and stuff.
Yeah, phone numbers. She said even hotel room keys. Like, guys are bold, I guess. And so she didn't think anything of it. She takes the notes, put it in her pocket, keeps walking. She didn't even take a glance at it. That is until...
That would have been helpful. Like, if it blew up or something, like it was a real bomb or something. Yeah. And he, like, blew up the plane and the girl just had the...
She has a note on her.
Instructions on her.
Well, that is...
That sounds bad to talk about. I didn't mean it in a bad way. Just...
I see what you mean, though. Like, it seems like this could be an important thing to look at.
Yeah.
And...
Not that she knows.
Right. But Cooper knows also that that's an important note to look at. And so he lets her know, hey... He says, Miss, I think you better read that note.
Oh.
So she's not getting very far. She stops, turns, and he's seated, calm, whatever. And Florence pulls out the note and opens it. It's printed in neat, all capital letters on plain piece of paper. And it says, I have a bomb in my briefcase. I want you to sit next to me. I frankly, I'd faint. I don't know what I don't know how I'd handle that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Oh my gosh. So of course she too is like probably shocked. She freezes. But he gestures to her, and so she goes, sits next to him. And he just opens his briefcase just slightly, and she looks inside, and what she sees is enough for her to believe it's a real bomb. She describes it as like red cylinders, wires, battery, the most classic bomb example you can think of.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't know what a bomb looks like, you'd probably see that and be like, yep, that's it. Mm-hmm. He tells her that he wants $200,000 by 5 p.m. He says he wants it in cash. He wants 4 parachutes. And when they land in Seattle, he wants a field check ready to refuel the plane because they're headed out for a second leg.
Wow. Wait, why? Sorry.
Big yawner.
Yeah, I was just laying down for like 3 hours.
Getting his braces off.
Yeah. I wonder why 4 parachutes.
I thought the same thing. My only thought is maybe he thought that they would, like, if one was tampered with, or like
can't tamper with all of them.
Yeah, I know, it's true. But maybe he would like recognize, like, I don't know, maybe be like, oh, this one doesn't look legit. I don't know. So I don't know if it's just so he has options, or if he wants 2 on him so that if he does anything crazy, he'll have a backup. Mm. I'm not sure.
Or he wants to take someone with him.
Yeah, sure.
He ends up liking the flight attendant. He's like, wait, maybe I'll take
He's like, wait a second. Yeah. I don't know what his reasoning is. But the flight attendant, Florence, nods, and her hands shaking, of course. She stands up and walks to the cockpit. Cooper doesn't move. He doesn't threaten. He doesn't yell or anything. He just sits back and relaxes and wait for more to happen.
Sipping his Coca-Cola.
Yeah. And so Florence Schaffner walks to the aisles without showing panic. She passes all these rows of passengers. No one knows what's going on, right? So they're all just seated there. She reaches the cockpit and knocks, and Captain William Scott opens the door. She steps inside, closes the door behind her, and with a low, urgent voice says, we got a situation in the cabin, and explains that the man in 18C has a bomb. The cockpit obviously falls silent. I would be like, oh, frick. What the heck do we do? That's a pretty intense situation. And so Captain Scott and First Officer William, I think it's pronounced Rodachek, And there's actually a third crew member, the flight engineer, Harold Anderson, listens as she explains about the note, about the briefcase, the wires, everything she saw inside, the demand for the money and the parachutes, that he was calm and very specific on what he wanted. So the pilots immediately radio everyone, of course. They're like, hey, they get their company online, they talk to air traffic control. Everyone's immediately involved in what's going on. And so, of course, it makes its way up to the FBI rather quickly, who begin to scramble for agents on the ground at SeaTac Airport. Meanwhile, back in the cabin, Cooper hasn't moved. He lights another cigarette, he sips his drink, his trench coat is still folded nicely, and he waits like a man who has planned this out very detailed.
Super confident.
Yeah, shockingly confident. I'm like nervous to ask for a drink when they come by. Like, I can't imagine pulling off a stunt like this. Mm-hmm. You know? So
he's smoking in the plane.
Yeah, and so he's super casual.
I'm just kidding.
He specifies that there should be no marked bills, no die packs, no tricks, and they just kind of make these notes to go tell the flight deck. Tina Mucklow is a different flight attendant who ends up being kind of the spokesman for Cooper. So I don't know what kind of put her in charge, but she ends up being like the lead flight attendant where everything he wants and is demanding, he tells Tina now, and Tina is the one who is the messenger. So Tina's the one that's passing the more information along, and the pilots are now fully briefed. So they tell the passengers, they make an announcement, and they say, hey, we have a minor mechanical issue. We're delaying our landing. This is obviously a lie. Mm-hmm. But this I can't imagine these poor passengers. One, they have no idea what's going on. Two, this 30-minute flight ends up being about 2.5 hours long.
Jeez.
Right. So they're at this point, they're just getting...
Just stalling or something?
Yeah, they're getting flown all over town. Reason being is that the FBI is on the ground. They're trying to get the money together. They're trying to get the parachutes. They end up having to contact 2 different flight schools to get the 4 total parachutes. They arrange for the fuel truck to come along, and they're kind of just making their plan and trying to be strategic. So this takes, obviously, some time, hence the extra flight time. In the cabin, the passengers, I believe, would be wildly bummed. Frustrated, yeah. I was like, you have passengers that get so mad if you're like 10 minutes late. I can't imagine 2 hours later. And so as the plane finally begins its descent, Dan Cooper leans toward Tina Mucklow, and he tells them that I want the stairs brought down after we land, the back stairs. I want the money and parachutes brought directly to the rear, and once that's done, you can let the passengers go. So she nods. The plane touches down at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport around 5:39-ish p.m. It taxis to a remote, well-lit section of the tarmac far from the terminal. Makes sense if they think there's a bomb on board. And police and FBI agents actually keep their distance because that's what he requested. And so a representative from Northwest Orient approaches the plane carrying the canvas bank bag filled with $200,000 in cash, which ends up being $10,000 of $20 bills, which is an insane amount. He requested 20s. They were unmarked, non-sequential, and many of them worn and used just like he asked. Along with money came the 4 parachutes. So, like we said earlier, Cooper checks the contents himself. He inspects the bags, looks over the parachutes, and for whatever reason, he knows what he's doing. So he's satisfied, and he tells them, you can let them off now. So one by one, the 36 passengers file off the plane through the front stairs. So all this is going on in the aft stairwell. They're getting the money. They're doing all the stuff. And then the passengers are like, that was weird. And now they're able to get off. Keep in mind, it's not like they're chronically online at the time. They're not getting updates with what's going on. So they're getting off thinking, this was so weird. Like,
that was a weird maintenance issue.
Yeah, that was super weird.
How
that took
so long. Mechanicals on board to help in the back.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're probably just like, annoyed, bothered until they get home and find out what's going on and
until
realize.
They read the newspaper the next day.
Yeah, and realize, oh, my life was actually like at stake. That'd be terrifying. So Cooper allows 2 flight attendants to leave as well, and only Tina Mucklow remains on board with the pilots. So to clarify, like the crew, I feel like typically we have a 6-person crew, but it's 4 flight attendants and 2 pilots.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, they have the 3. So we have Captain William Scott. He's 54 years old. Obviously, pilot in command. He's the captain. He's calling all the shots.
Mm-hmm.
We have First Officer William J. Rodachak, and he's flying the plane with him. The flight engineer, Harold E. Anderson, he's like oversaw the aircraft's mechanicals, the fuel systems, the navigation. Since the 80s, we haven't really had a third person now that we have all the like instruments we have currently. And then we had the 3 flight attendants, Tina, Florence, and then an Alice Hancock, who's not really mentioned. But Florence and Alice get to leave, so now we're stuck with the 3 in the cockpit and only Tina as the flight attendant. Mm-hmm. So the passengers walk away unharmed, unaware, and behind them on the tarmac, the man in 18C is just getting started. So we have D.B. Cooper. He's sitting in the same place. Nothing crazy. Now that he has $200,000 with him, though. It's the only thing different. And he has 2 parachutes that lie beside him. Turns out the other 2 he inspected and he kind of disposed of. So I guess he's hanging on to 2 of them. I don't know what makes a good parachute or not, but evidently he knows what's up. Mm-hmm. Outside, a field truck connects to the plane, and it's filling up. The pilots are watching the gauges come up, and all this is happening under the watchful eye of the FBI. Tina walks back to Cooper, and he turns to her and asks plainly, can the aft air stairs be lowered during flight? So she's like, that's weird, but yeah, they can. He says good, and that's that. Mm-hmm. When the refueling is complete, Cooper issues his next set of instructions to the cockpit. This is what he says. This is also what brings a lot of suspicion on him as we go into who these suspects are. He says the aircraft is to fly south en route to Mexico City. He wants them to maintain an altitude of 10,000 feet, keep the cabin unpressurized, extend the landing gear, set the wing flaps to 15 degrees, maintain a cruising speed of 170 knots or whatever is the slowest possible without risk of stalling, and keep the rear air stair unlocked.
So he could jump out? Because if it was pressurized higher than and all that stuff, he wouldn't be able to get out.
Right. And so they're like, how come he knows what he's talking about? Mm-hmm. Captain Scott informs him that, like, the plane actually can't make it to Mexico City. They have smaller fuel tanks. He's like, hey, we can't do that on 1 tank of fuel, but we can stop in Reno and refill. And Cooper's actually like, all right, we'll stop in Nevada. At 7:40, the aircraft is cleared to depart again. The weather is still cold, still rainy. The winds push against the tarmac. But now Cooper has full control of a commercial airliner with a total of 5 people on board. At 7:46, Flight 305 lifts off from SeaTac Airport and climbs to its 10,000 feet. Once it reaches 10,000 feet, it's quiet inside. Rain taps against the fuselage, and the landing gear is down. The flaps are set. Everything as Cooper requested. Not long into the flight, Cooper looked over at Tina calmly and said, close the curtain and go to your seat. So at this time, I guess there's a curtain that separates first class from, like, the coach. And she just stands up, does this, yeah. She goes to the front, closes the curtains, and now she's just sitting quietly looking straight ahead. I can't imagine that anticipation, knowing, like, okay, if he has a bomb, are we all going down soon? What's going to happen?
Mm-hmm. I wonder if he said go to Mexico City because he was just going to jump out randomly so they wouldn't be able to know when he jumped out, rather than, like, just fly around and I'm going to jump out, because then you'll be like, all right, so we just circled this area for 30 minutes, so he's in this area.
I wonder if you would think he'd have to be, like, at least decently familiar with the area he plans on jumping. That way he knows he can get help. If he's in the middle of nowhere, it's like, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So like, maybe he knew, like, if we fly south from here, I'll be over.
I have a bunch of friends in the south.
Yeah, this is exactly where all my friends are. They'll come pick me up. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's something like that. Like, he just needed to go south, so he just said somewhere, because it doesn't seem like he put up a fight with Nevada. Mm-hmm. So as the plane cruises through the darkness, Tina sits silently holding her breath. And then comes 8:13 p.m. So they've been in flight for not even quite 30 minutes or so. And something changes. In the cockpit, the crew notices a little bit of a sharp bump in the tail section, a sudden pressure shift perhaps. And flight engineer Harold Anderson sees the light indicating that the aft air stair has been deployed. There's no distress call, no alarm, nothing of the sorts. And Captain Scott and First Officer kind of give each other a little glance, but the flight continues uneventful and surreal until 10:15, so 2 hours later, when they land in Reno, Nevada, just as planned. The air stairs are still deployed.
So they didn't even look.
They didn't. They just kept going.
Yeah.
The FBI comes on board. We have FBI agents, local police, a SWAT team. They all rush on board, guns drawn. Which I'm like, you guys are Russian? You think there's a bomb on the board? That's pretty hardcore. But they come in, they search the cabin, they check every compartment, lavatory, cargo hold, everything they find. And of course, what do you think they find?
The suitcase?
Nothing.
Okay.
Trick question.
Yeah.
Trick question. They don't find a parachute. They don't find the money. They don't find, obviously, Dan Cooper or DB Cooper. But what they do find, what's left behind, is a black clip-on tie that he was wearing that was seen there with a mother-of-pearl tie clip still fastened. I didn't even know what a mother-of-pearl tie clip was.
What is it?
It's just like a type of tie. It's like the long tie clips or whatever. That whole. So it's like very classic, normal looking. But so that's the only thing that's left behind, along with a glass of traces of bourbon and soda, several cigarette butts, partially smoked, and a handful of fingerprints, but most too smudged to be useful.
Just enjoying his time.
Yeah, it sounds like he was just relaxing. He sounded like a normal passenger.
Yeah.
Obviously, back in 1971, DNA analysis doesn't exist, and the fingerprint matching relies on luck and a massive database at the time, but they weren't really able to pick up anything definitively because of the smearing. So, of course, they start with interviewing the crew. Tina Mucklow, shaken but calm, tells them everything. Talks about the note, the bomb. Like, she goes into it in extensive detail. She tells him how, quote, he wasn't mean, he wasn't nervous, he was just calm. Which I feel like is creepier to me.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Too calm. And she also tells him about how she had to go in front and close the curtain, all that stuff. Captain Scott, confirms, yeah, he was polite, honestly. He was in total control of the situation.
He just wanted money. He
I know.
He was
anyone. Just broke. Yeah. But then the first officer is the one that brought up, it's pretty strange how he knew, the jump parameters he needed. Slow speed, the landing gear down, the lights off, I guess.
He's been planning it.
Yeah. And so, it seems like his flight path was deliberately designed to accommodate a jump. Checks out to me. Makes sense. And so every detail Cooper gave was technically sound. It sounds like he knew the aircraft mechanics. He knew about the 727's unique rear air stair, which at the time...
He probably booked that flight on purpose.
Exactly. It's one of the only commercial jets that have that. That's not...
That have that?
Can you believe it? He knew it. So he's a smart guy, evidently. And crucially, he knew that there was no external sensors to detect if it was opening in flight, which would actually change because of this exact scenario with him. So the FAA and Boeing made specific modifications to the 727 aircraft to prevent anyone from repeating this stunt. Wise.
Yeah.
It's actually called the Cooper vane. And so it's like a mechanical locking device where it prevents the rear air stair from being able to be lowered in flight. Sounds like it's just a simple aerodynamic panel is how they describe it. But basically, once the plane touches down, you can open it again.
Yeah.
So you would think that would already be a thing. But because of this situation, now we have the Cooper vane. Based on radar, airspeed, and crew observation, the FBI estimates that Cooper likely jumped between 8:10 and 8:13. Makes sense. That's when the light went off in the cockpit. And it was somewhere over dense wilderness near Ariel, Washington, or the Lewis River Basin. It was a remote wooded stretch of terrain in the southern Cascades. So they, of course, send search teams. They send the dogs, the helicopters, the ground crews, all things. But the weather is tough. It's been raining nonstop. And it's
cold.
It's cold. It's the day before Thanksgiving. And so the forest is tough to get through as is. And then you add the weather element. And so nothing was found. And they couldn't even really proceed with their search until the next day. So at that point, there was no parachute, no body, no equipment, no ransom bag. They didn't find anything. It's like when he fell into the sky that he literally just vanished. Within 24 hours of the hijacking, the FBI launched one of the, what they say, is the largest manhunts in U.S. history. Keep in mind, it was $200,000. In today's money, that'd be about $1.6 million. So That's quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
They called it the NORJAC, short for Northwest Hijacking.
Mm.
Were you going to say something? I feel like I interrupted.
No, I was going to say they probably really wanted to find him too, so they could punish him, and so people would be less likely to try to do that again.
That's something that you should actually look up. Is because when I was going through this, I saw it and I forgot to finish searching it. But I guess back in the day, hijacking, normal thing.
It probably happened a good amount.
Yeah, they said it was
hard
like
to stop.
hundreds of times. Like it was like very common. I need to pull up what it said, but I guess during this time, like rarely is it ever fatal or things were happening that severe. Hence why there was not strict security for a long time. But yeah, you should look up in the 70s and 80s how often commercial airliners were getting hijacked. Obviously, that's very different nowadays, but considering like he's pulling off this intense hijacking, they want to make sure that everybody knew, don't mess with them. But they had a vague description of this guy. They had a false name and a 727 sitting in Reno with an empty cabin, the tie, the fingerprints, and that's it. So based on testimony from flight attendants and the pilots, the FBI created a composite description. It was a white male, late 30s, mid 40s or so, 5'10" to 6 foot tall, about 170 to 180 pounds. Olive or light tan complexion, calm, well-spoken, maybe a Midwestern or Canadian accent. Extremely composed, not nervous or aggressive, familiar with aviation terminology and procedures, and possibly had military skydiving or aerospace experience. Which I'm like, of course he was polite if he has a Canadian accent. Those two go together.
Yeah. It says that it was called the golden age of hijacking.
No way. So how often?
Yeah, globally there was an average of one hijacking every 5 days.
Every 5 days is crazy.
1968 to 1972.
1972, that makes sense. This was 1971. I think this is when, this is really what triggered a lot of the airport security and such.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
Often.
Yeah.
Dang. So over the following years, more than 800 suspects would be considered, but a few names kept surfacing over and over. So we're going to go into the most talked about suspects. I'm curious what you think about who these people are. First off, I'm going to give you 4 of the main talked about people, and we'll see what you think. This is the composite sketch that they came up with from the details. I'll have that up, of course. Mm-hmm. So he looks like your regular Joe guy.
Yeah.
So he's got his sunglasses on and one of them without. Do you want to describe him a little more?
He kind of has a head that like is really pointy at his chin and wider at his eyes.
Sounds like alienish you're describing.
Just kidding.
I always think about that. I could not
I don't
give
know how
a description.
Short hair.
Yeah. He has hair like Woody from
over.
Toy Story.
Yeah. Dark eyes, it looks like.
Yeah, his eyes look
white,
far apart. That's the thing is like, if I witness something, the police would get nowhere with my description.
I know.
Not only can I not describe someone, I'm looking at them.
Keep guessing and I'll say if a yes or no.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the composite sketch that they came up with. And as they're going through investigating, they came up with this man named Sheridan Peterson. He was one of the earliest lookalikes, you can say, that caught the investigators' attention, and for a good reason. He was a former Boeing technical editor. Boeing. In fact, turns out he wrote the flight manual for the Boeing 727, or had involvement in it.
Yeah. Well, why would he ask if you can lower the thing? Probably would already know that.
That's a good point. You're so much smarter than me. I didn't even think about that. He claimed to have been in Nepal at the time of the hijacking, but provided no concrete proof. He was an experienced skydiver.
Oh.
And a known thrill seeker. I have a picture of this guy for you, too.
I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, this one?
Yep.
Very nice.
I could see it.
Yeah, and so Peterson's photo bore a striking resemblance to the FBI's composite sketch, of course. In fact, Boeing even circulated his image internally shortly after the hijacking. Keep an eye on this guy, which he literally worked at Boeing, so that'd be like, that would like ruin your reputation big time. He had the skills, he had the training, and he didn't mind the attention, which is so funny that people do that. I would be like so embarrassed to be involved in something like this. But I guess in interviews, Peterson was kind of cryptic. He was neither confirming nor denying that kind of thing. It was like he would say things like, I can't say that I'm not him, but I'm certainly not going to say that I am. Okay, like why would you? Like, he kind of ate that media attention up.
Kind of seems like it was him, and he had like that, like kind of like narcissistic, like mentality where he couldn't not like take some credit for it because he was craving that credit.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like, I mean, he worked for Boeing in Seattle, placing him geographically at the right place as well. And he was an experienced smoke jumper. So someone trained to parachute into wildfires and rugged terrain. And hence, he jumped into rugged terrain.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, he fit the Cooper profile like shockingly well. But when researchers analyzed Cooper's tie decades later, they found titanium particles and rare earth elements embedded in the fibers. And these particles are typically found in aerospace manufacturing, not in an office environment. Which I'm like, if you're working at Boeing, I feel like it's not hard to get your hands in the aerospace area. But Peterson worked for Boeing as an editor, not a machinist or an engineer. And there's no evidence he ever handled titanium alloys directly. And so it kind of weakened the argument that the tie did belong to him. Which I don't know if I am full sent on him not being able to be involved with titanium and all that stuff. But regardless, the FBI interviewed him twice. Reportedly took DNA samples, even though we're unclear of what the sample of DNA was. And they ultimately ruled him out, though no official statement was released publicly. And he ended up dying in 2021, always denying involvement. Which I'm like, did he deny?
Yeah.
So, like, the reasons he fit, right? He's a Boeing employee. He's expert skydiver, strong resemblance to the image. But
Like the credit a little bit.
yeah, he liked kind of like what they were saying about him. But why he doesn't fit is that there's no direct evidence that he worked around the elements that were on the tie, which maybe, and there was not a known motive or criminal intent. Like, it doesn't seem like there would be any reason for him to do something like this.
Yeah.
But
it seems weird that there's like, he looks like the guy and he could skydive. Maybe there's a lot of guys that could skydive back in the day because of the war.
right.
And it's like recent wars, but I don't know.
Also, I feel like a lot of these guys actually kind of do look like the sketch. And so as we go into it, the next guy is Kenneth Christensen, and this is what he looks like. I feel like he kind of looks like the least like the option to me.
Yeah.
I think the Sheridan looks
because
more.
he's bald on the top of his head.
Yeah, that might not be.
He's
a
like a
very good
cul-de-sac, so he's like, they're like, wait a second.
I mean, just shave the top of your head.
Yeah, he just does it every morning.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I hate this. If you have a cul-de-sac, just go bald.
Yeah.
I mean, Dad looked great with hair on the side of his head, but I'm like, just go bald.
He started kind of shaving it more.
That's true. Well, Kenneth Christensen, like you said, with the whole war thing, he was an Army paratrooper. And so he actually turned into a Northwest Orient flight attendant and maintenance worker after his time in the Army. So that seems kind of suspicious. At first glance, he didn't really stand out, but decades after the hijacking, his name rose to the top of the independent suspect list thanks to a surprising source, his own brother.
Whoa. That's a sketchy one.
Yeah. Would you route me out? Would you tip me off?
Yeah. Just kidding. Unless you gave me money.
Oh my gosh. You're like, was that you? Give me $100,000 if it's not. If it is. Yeah.
It's like I either get money from you or I get money from the FBI to turn
it's
you
a
in.
win-win. Yeah, and so this was kind of a weird situation. In the early 2000s, Kenneth's younger brother, Lyle, watched a television documentary about this D.B. Cooper, and something about the sketches, the demeanor, and the insider knowledge just kind of clicked for him. So he contacted the FBI, and a private investigator claimed that his brother could be the man they're looking for. But keep in mind, his brother had already passed away at this point.
Oh. So he's doing it kind of, it's not going to hurt his brother.
Right. It's more like, okay, he's already gone. Now this seems weird. That could have been my brother. So it's not like he's ratting him out. Like, I mean, if your brother did something wrong, rat him out, honestly. But Lyle said that Kenneth began spending more money after the hijacking incidents, paying cash for a house estimated about $14,000 at the time, despite his modest salary as a flight attendant in the 70s.
Yeah. Sketchy.
Kenneth also had experience with the Boeing 727 and often flew on that exact Portland to Seattle route. But it was something else that haunted the little brother Lyle. I guess shortly before Kenneth's death in 1994, he allegedly said something along the lines that, quote, "There's something I need to tell you, but I can't."
Wow. Also, it says that $14,000 was like $120,000.
Yeah, so paying that cash is not a very
as
normal
a flight
thing.
attendant.
Right.
Interesting.
And so Lyle, like, when he heard his brother's statement, he's like, that's a deathbed confession if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, he should have just confessed it.
Right. I know. I was like, when people are are dying, especially like people who are convicted murderers and stuff, but like won't tell the family like where they buried their child, or like, I'm like, why don't you just let everyone know? It's so frustrating.
Yeah, tell us.
Just tell us. Goodness gracious. So the FBI reviewed the case and confirmed that Kenneth's background matched parts of Cooper's profile, but they ultimately ruled him out based on the height because Kenneth was.
He did a different hijack.
He did a different one.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
He was only 5'8", so he's a little shorter than what was described, which I feel like that'd be an easy thing to.
Yeah, if I was hijacking, I'd put insoles to make myself like 6'1". So.
Yeah, I always think that, or like, this sounds so bad, but I'm like, they always find like footprints and stuff. I'm like, wear the wrong size shoe.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Like,
insoles, wrong size shoe.
We're not teaching this though.
I know. I'm just saying, like hijacking, not anything else.
Yeah. And then also his eye color was hazel, not like the brown that everyone.
Contacts.
Right. So I was like,
but maybe not in 1970.
I don't know if they had color contacts back then. You can tell how
I'll
off we don't know anything like when things came out.
I know.
It's so funny.
Like, they definitely couldn't fly planes in 1970s.
I
like,
know.
never mind.
Like, oh wait, commercial airlines wasn't a thing back then. Like, we don't know anything. But he kind of had lack of skydive training, like recreational skydive training. He was a paratrooper, but I guess it's a little bit different. And so because of these things and that there was no direct physical evidence, they ended up ruling him out. Still, many consider him one of the leading candidates, actually. But mainly, I think, because the brother was kind of pushing for it as well.
Guess what year the first soft contact lenses were made? 1971.
71? It could have been him.
I don't think it was colored, though. I think it's just soft. But.
That's good to know, too, actually. That I had the same question. I didn't even look it up, though. But so then we have Sheridan and we have this Kenneth guy. Those are two of the four. And then another common popular one. This is, I guess I'm going to see what you think about this guy. Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. This is our guy.
Richard Floyd McCoy?
Yeah.
Looks like him.
It's got some big ears.
Yeah, and the eyes kind of look like it. And
the hairstyle a little bit.
The alienish head.
Yeah, like a little bit elongated, pointier chin.
Yeah, like more oval on the top.
I can see that. Well, this guy seems to fit the bill a little bit too strongly in a lot of ways.
He's a skydiver.
Listen to this. He was a decorated Vietnam vet, helicopter pilot, and Army skydiver. On top of this is what's either it's going to solidify that you think it's him or solidify that you don't think it's him. But McCoy pulled off a hijacking nearly identical to Cooper's 5 months later.
Oh, so he's just on a streak.
So he could be on a roll or he's a very good copycat. So on April 7th, 1972, so 5 months later, Richard McCoy boarded a United Airlines flight from Denver to Los Angeles. And like you said, this is a prime time for hijacking, evidently. Mm-hmm. But he was disguised in a toupee, sunglasses, and using a paperweight resembling a hand grenade. Do you know what a paperweight is?
No.
I know. I was like, that is so funny. You can tell that we're in the generation of like technology.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to look this up. And look it up. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's like, we literally have one over there. It's the big heavy thing that you put on a stack of papers.
Oh, why did he bring that?
He had one that like looked like a grenade.
Oh, okay.
So he was faking a grenade. I was like, we literally have one over there. It's a bowl. Yeah. And I just never knew what that was.
I thought he was just bringing it.
Yeah, no. It was like disguised, I guess, as a hand grenade. He also had an unloaded handgun in his bag. So he technically had no weapons on him. It was like a scare factor. and he demanded $500,000. Unlike
It's like, let's raise it.
Yeah, he's like, well, we can do bigger numbers than that. Yeah, so he requested $500,000, 5 parachutes, and then the same slow altitude flight configuration. So everyone's like, either he's...
But he got caught.
But he got caught. After the ransom was delivered, he ordered the plane to fly towards Provo, Utah, and then parachuted out, escaping with the money and all that. But unlike Cooper, McCoy made mistakes. He left behind the handwritten note, unlike what Cooper did. He took it with him. And his fingerprints were found on the in-flight magazines, on his cups. Like, he did not think about fingerprints whatsoever. And they were actually able to identify him. And they pulled up to his house not long after. And inside, they found the parachutes, they found the ransom cash, and they found a jumpsuit. So he was sloppy, for sure. He was arrested and sentenced to 45 years.
Wow.
But, get this, he escaped from prison.
Jeez.
I feel like you don't hear that all that often.
This guy's wild.
Yeah, this guy's
I
intense.
feel like back in the day, it was probably more common.
Yeah, security was different.
Yeah.
Well, this is how he did it. McCoy used his access to the prison's dental office to create a fake handgun. He's all about the fake weapons.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to get too in trouble.
He's like, I don't want to kill anybody. Right. Well, he used this, which he and his crew, like his little buddies in prison, used to hijack a garbage truck and escape by ramming it through the main gate. Isn't that wild?
And they didn't catch him after?
No.
They rammed through it?
I don't know. You would think that they'd be like, on him right away.
Yeah.
But they actually got away. And he was later found in Virginia. And he pulled a weapon on the cops. And he ended up getting killed in a shoot-off in 1974. So that was kind of the end of McCoy's story. But McCoy, so some people are like, he's done it before. He can do it again. Yeah. Maybe it's him.
Or he just copied.
And a lot of people think he's just trying to copycat because... Obviously, he had skydiving experience. Maybe he heard the story, thought he could pull it off, but he did not have the same calm demeanor. He did it slightly different. He was sloppier. And people are thinking, why would you be more anxious and less prepared the second time?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you could get sloppy after you do it and you get away with it. You're like...
Getting cocky?
You're like, I don't need to, like, do this way. I just do it faster. Because they didn't catch me last time, and then you're, boom, caught. Because you did it differently.
That's true.
And you're sloppy.
I mean, it was the same aircraft, the same escape method, military skydiving experience, knew the flight configuration. I don't know how much detail they went into, like, the flight configuration. And, I mean, obviously, if he's a skydiver, he knows these things. But I don't know how detailed the news were back then with, like, how Cooper pulled it off. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know. The main reason why they... said no, it wasn't him though, was that he was only 29 years old, and he was much younger than what they thought Cooper was and appeared to be when they said like 40s. You know, he's like way less. So physically didn't match the witness description as much, and so because of like the difference in demeanor, the sloppiness, they think he's a copycat, and obviously he passed away, so we don't know for sure now. The last one we talk about is one of the main leading suspects that the FBI thinks, at least. And this is Robert Rackstraw. So this is his picture. I think he looked probably the most like the guy. This guy and the first guy we talked about, Sheridan, I feel like are the closest resemblance.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Do you think so?
I think the head shape's a little off.
Yeah. Just how well do you describe that? And also, like, I guess Tina was the most involved with him. But, I don't know. I mean, he has all the basic characteristics, at least. So, if D.B. Cooper was someone trained in deception, explosives, parachuting, and invasions, Robert Rackstraw might be the perfect prototype. He was a former U.S. Army paratrooper and a demolitions expert and a helicopter pilot. Rackstraw had a background full of secrets. He served in Vietnam, spoke multiple languages, and held dozens of fake identities over the years. He was court-martialed in 1971, just months before the hijacking.
For hijacking.
For hijacking.
Just kidding.
No. For lying to officers, possessions of explosions, and misuse of military aircraft. So, like, pretty intense stuff.
So maybe he really did have the explosion.
Yeah.
I mean, the bomb.
Yeah, they're like, he literally knows how to deal with, like, explosions and stuff. He was discharged under questionable circumstances. And years later, Rackstraw came under renewed suspicion when a team led by journalist Tom Colbert reanalyzed letters sent to newspapers in the months after the hijacking. So the team, which included former intelligence and military code breakers, claimed that letters contained hidden messages using Vietnam-era military ciphers. This is what's weird to me. So I guess at the time, some messages and notes were getting sent to the media, and they say that it was like this Vietnam-era military code. And so all these experts came in to analyze these messages to see if it's really from Cooper and stuff. And one message allegedly decoded to, "I am First Lieutenant Robert Rackstraw." I was like, would he say that in a code? Like, give exactly who you are?
Probably not.
I don't
but
think so.
maybe he's wants some credit if someone can figure it out.
Kind of reminds me of the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
Where he's like,
just playing with them.
Yeah, it kind of seems like a teaser. Seems like, don't forget about me. He wants to keep his name in the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. The FBI had received the letters in the 1970s, but never linked them to Rackstraw, actually. When questioned in later years, Rackstraw would neither confirm nor deny anything. I don't know why anyone just doesn't deny. Like, why don't you just say no? It's so weird to me.
Yeah, that's weird.
Once he had like a little smirk and he said, "I wouldn't discount myself." Why are people like that? That's just like the first guy.
He's like, I could take some credit and just say it's not me.
He just likes people talking about him.
I could do this, but I didn't.
Right.
Or did I?
Or did I? And so he had the skills. He had the physical profile. He had literally
mental profile. Sounds like.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of crazy.
Yes.
He got dishonorably, or did he get dishonorably discharged?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like the cryptic personality traits. Like, he seems like he fits the bill as far as all the descriptions go.
For some reason, he like had explosive devices with him. Like he they're like, "Why do you have this?" He's like,
I don't know.
Hijacking.
Yeah. So it's like obviously, like I said in the beginning, he's an Army paratrooper, so he also has experience with skydiving.
Mm-hmm.
And then the explosives. He's a helicopter pilot, so he knows like altitudes and pressurization, how that all works. But
he didn't know specifically like
the 727.
Yeah, very well. Mm-hmm. So it's like he's a pilot, but he's not familiar with that airplane.
True.
Probably just knows there's stairs.
Whereas the first guy, Sheridan,
he would have known.
He would have known. You're right. You're onto something.
I am.
But the FBI never formally charged him with anything, and he died in 2019, still a free man, and it's still a mystery. And so, like, I think the reason that why they didn't charge him, I guess there was no direct physical evidence, obviously, that ties him. The DNA from the tie didn't match, even though the sample may have been contaminated at this point. DNA was very different. They've tested it a few times. And the FBI closed the case without even naming him, even after the code team's finding. The people who were like, it says his Lieutenant Robert, and the FBI. So then some people, if you go really down a rabbit hole, they're like, the FBI is covering this up. Which, I'm like, why would the FBI do that?
They're like, maybe that was a money laundering scheme by them. They
wanted their own money?
Yeah, they just
hired their own
FBI guys that hijack and they get the money from the FBI and keep it.
Can you imagine, like, its own theory is the fact that the FBI hired their own guy so that they can keep the money?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be diabolical.
Not the whole FBI, just a couple guys that are
corrupt guys.
Bad apples.
Yeah, so to this day, those are the four main suspects that we still don't have clear answers to. So now it's February 10th, 1980. So it's been 9 years since the hijacking. Mm-hmm. And it's been nearly 9 years have passed since a man called himself Dan Cooper walked up the air stairs and disappeared into a storm. And that mystery had long gone cold already because there was no parachute, no suspect. They literally had no physical evidence really besides the tie that really led them to nothing until this point. Until this 1980 day in the 1980s. There was an 8-year-old. His name was Brian Ingram. He was on a family camping trip near Vancouver, Washington, along the Columbia River at a stretch of beach known as Tina Bar. He's from Arkansas, and this is just a stopover on their camping trip or whatever. It was a break from the road. Bored, Brian picks up a small little shovel or a stick, depending on the source, and he's just digging around in the sand. As he's doing that, he gets a few inches into the sand, and the shovel hits something strange. It was unclear at first, so he starts digging it out, pulls out moldy greenish bundle of $20 bills. Nice. It was rotting at the edges, but still band together with rubber bands. Mm-hmm. He calls for his dad, and together they dig up 2 more bundles from the same spot. So police are called, which I'm like, good for you guys that you're calling the police. You just, I know, $20 bills. Yeah.
Probably a lot more than $20 bills.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Oh.
How much do you think? Keep in mind, the whole thing was in 20s.
6,000.
Are you being for real?
You said bundles.
No, that was a great guess.
Oh.
$5,800.
Oh, let's go.
I was like,
I thought you were going to say like $200 or something.
That's what I would have thought. If I heard a bundle, I'm like, okay, like $100 like per. Oh, wait, that doesn't make sense. 20s. I don't know. I would have guessed way lower. But like I said, they call the FBI, so they came and analyze it. And like you said, like $5,800 in deteriorating bills. It was wrapped in aging rubber bands. The serial numbers matched the exact ones from D.B. Cooper's ransom money.
Dang.
So there's like, without a doubt, they're like, this is the only physical trace of Cooper's cash. And it's nowhere near where they've been looking. So lots of reasons why this is baffling. The discovery at Tina Bar didn't clarify the mystery. It literally just blew it more wide open. Investigators began re-examining old theories and constructing new ones, each more puzzling than the last. So here's kind of like a couple of the main ones they considered. Theory 1 is that the money was washed downstream from the jump site. So maybe Cooper died during the jump. That was a common thing that they talked about. And part of the ransom drift down river to Tina Bar over time. Mm-hmm. But the bills were stacked and banded, not like scattered, like they've traveled far, like moving with the current. And the rubber bands were still partially intact. And so it led them to believe that it hadn't been exposed to prolonged water exposure. Which, that makes sense to me. And so the FBI actually tested it, and soil and sediment experts analyzed the burial depth, and they conclude that the money had likely been buried intentionally, not disposed of and drifted and accidentally buried. So multiple tests showed the bills had been in the ground for years, not just washed ashore. So theory 1 kind of got debunked. I would be shocked if that much money can end up in the same spot as well. So that one I kind of like, I don't really see happening. But theory 2 is that Cooper survived the jump and buried a portion of the ransom on the run. Why would you think he would do that, though?
I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Their question is, like, why just $5,800 of the $200,000 that he has? And also, this was kind of like a popular place. Like, Tina Bar, like, highly populated. People come and go. Like, seems like a risky place leaves so much money. Mm-hmm. So, another thing that they were thinking about is they reanalyzed the original flight path and drop zone. And they're like, did he really travel on foot after this jump? Because Tina Bar is over 20 miles away from where they think the jump site was.
Dang. So
they never even, like, checked this area, of course. But I don't know. I feel like if I'm trying to get away with hijacking that much money, I would walk 20 miles.
Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe the money was heavy. Maybe he's like, I'm going to come back for this later.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense that, like, when he was coming in, maybe, like some money fell out and just hit some water and went downstream and disappeared.
You do think it could have gone downstream?
Yeah, I kind of do. Just like, if the guy who went through all of that to get money, he's not going to just leave some money somewhere to distract people, I think.
Well, I don't think it would be to distract people. I think maybe he was trying to, like, lighten his load or something, buried it, planning on coming back.
That's like this, like, couple bands.
That's like this. I don't know. Or, like, maybe he put more than the $5,800 and he buried a lot of money so it's not suspicious and he would just keep coming back and getting more. Because, like, if he just all of a sudden puts $200,000 in the bank or has it in his house, if he ever gets raided, he's goner. So I'm like, well, maybe it's like hiding places for him that he would bury him regularly.
Yeah, true, but okay.
But I don't know, because there was no sign of additional cash in the area. There was no trail, no personal items found anywhere nearby. So, like, if he's been here, I mean, obviously, this is years after. This is 9 years later. So, like, I don't think that there probably would be any personal items of his unless it's just been sitting there for 9 years. But
Yeah.
they didn't find any personal items, and they think that theory also seems unlikely, that he just walked over and buried it.
Yeah.
Theory 3 is that a third party found Cooper's stash and hid part of it in Tina Bay. I feel like that's even weirder.
Yeah. If I found cash, I wouldn't bury it.
Yeah.
I'd just grab it and be like, oh, cool.
Yeah, sweet. I'm like, look around. Anybody? No? Okay, cool.
Anybody?
So true. Hey, did you believe this? That's hilarious. But the reason it's baffling is that the serial numbers from the ransom weren't released to the public until months after the hijacking. So unless they knew like what they had, that was so funny. That was so funny. That was clever. Not gonna be all laughing. Okay, so unless they knew like what they had, why wouldn't they just like keep the money and spend it like you were saying?
Yeah.
Like it seems weird that they would intentionally hide money if they found it, unless they knew it was affiliated with the hijacking. But even then, like the other family did the right thing, obviously, and called FBI because they were suspicious of it.
Yeah.
But I guess agents re-interviewed residents, tracked down anyone who had camped or lived near the bar in the 1970s. Of course, no one's going to be like, oh, I buried it, you know? So no one comes forward saying anything was suspicious, that they ever saw anything, all the stuff.
Yeah.
So no credible leads emerged. No one claimed to have found or handled any cash. And that theory has not been proven one way or the other.
Wow.
The last theory 4 that they consider, is that the flight path or jump zone could have completely been wrong.
Winds and stuff.
I mean, it was a stormy night.
True.
But
they probably don't have flight aware tracking it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, but the initial
radar.
Yeah, they have like the flight plan still and stuff.
Yeah. They're probably just flying VORs and stuff.
Yeah, true. Yeah, the initial flight trajectory had Cooper landing far more inland, like we said, like over 20 miles, not near the Columbia River at all. And Tina Bar had never been part of the search. And so what they did was go back to the radar data, like you said, the flight crew testimony, the flight logs were re-examined. Still, nothing put the plane anywhere near Tina Bar when Cooper jumped. But I feel like even if you were like 10 miles off, like that's 10 miles is a much shorter walk than 20 plus. You know, like, I mean, like, I'm saying it's way more realistic. Like, even if you're slightly off your flight plan.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so I think that the plane probably would have enough data and the crew would be able to testify, like, if they were off course at all. Or, you know, like, I feel like they would know. Of course, if you're parachuting, though, if there's a lot of winds, maybe it could drift you a lot farther.
Yeah.
But also a lot of rain. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they were using I don't even remember what this is called, but like the ADF and like the homing where they like, you know what I mean? Like the old navigation.
Yeah. I was just talking to this guy on the flight next to me. He was like, do we really have to turn our phone in airplane mode? He's like, there's no way that messes up your guys' computers and stuff.
It does, dude.
I was like, yeah, turn off right now. I said, maybe back in the day because they had way different systems. But he's convinced that it actually messes with the cell towers and it's actually for cell phone companies. Something to think about. But regardless, as they went down that route, they're like, this seems like no way that the plane information was wrong unless somehow he floated way further skydiving or if he really did get up and take a trek. I don't know. I don't know which theory I lean with. I don't know if I have a different theory.
I don't know.
Unless someone was ready for him, picked him up.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
We'll never know.
We'll never
the sad
know.
Part.
The facts they were left with is that the money was Cooper's, no doubt. It had been buried, not scattered, is what they're pretty confident in.
Mm-hmm.
No other bills were found anywhere else, and there was still $194,200 missing. What should have been a break in the case only made things more impossible. Every theory came with a contradiction. Every clue led to a dead end. Cooper was still gone. The truth was still buried. And for the FBI searching, a boy with a shovel had gotten closer than they ever had, it feels like. So years passed, then decades, and lead after lead went cold. Suspect after suspect kind of got ruled out. Even the boldest theories, we have Rackstraw, McCoy, Peterson, and Christensen, they all left too many questions unanswered. And the FBI investigated over 800 suspects, and they tracked down parachute experts and airline insiders and military vets and convicted criminals. Wild cards, nobody. No one was ever charged. After the hijacking, like we said, the airlines and aircraft manufacturers kind of scrambled to close these loopholes. They're like, oh, crap, that's even possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so airline security was kind of overhauled. Walk-on passengers with fake names and stuff. Like, that's not a thing anymore, obviously. IDs are now required. Metal detectors are installed. This all kind of more started happening and mandated in the U.S. in 1973. So this was really like the trigger point for airport security. Obviously, we know that it kept going an uptick later down the road as well. And the Boeing 727 specifically now has that mechanical device called the Cooper vane for the air stairs. So realistically, no one could ever pull this off again, luckily. And in July 2016, after 45 years of chasing shadows, the FBI officially closed the D.B. Cooper case. The Bureau released a short statement saying that following one of the longest and most exhaustive investigations in our history, the FBI is redirecting resources to other investigative priorities. So the evidence was boxed up and archived. A $200,000 ransom was never fully recovered. The identity of the man in C-18C remains unknown. Before he opened the rear stairwell and vanished into the storm, he turned to the last person who would ever speak with him, which was Flight Attendant Tina Mucklow, and she asked him, "Do you have a grudge against Northwest Airlines?" And Dan Cooper smiled and said, "I don't have a grudge against your airline, miss. I just have a grudge." And then he walked into the dark, never to be seen again. And
that's mysterious.
That is mysterious. And that is the case of Dan or D.B. Cooper, the Skyjacking. Dun, dun, dun. To this day, don't know what's going on.
That one's crazy.
That one's just wild that was even able to be pulled off at one point.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, nowadays are very different, which is great, but it's just crazy how that was even possible at one point.
It is actually crazy.
It seems shocking that everyone was allowed to go to the gate. No one had to give identity. There was no security checks. Like, it's wild to think of a time that was never a thing for the airlines. All right.
It's kind of spooky.
It is spooky. Do you have either any not-so-fun facts or true crime news?
Yes.
Woohoo!
So, we are going to start in California.
For which? True crime news? Sweet.
So, a 51-year-old former professional baseball player was recently convicted of killing his father-in-law and trying to fatally shoot his mother-in-law several years ago.
Oh my gosh.
His name was Daniel Serafini.
He's a baseball player, you said?
He was. MLB pitcher.
Oh, dang. For what team? Do we know?
I think multiple teams.
Oh, I'm sure, but...
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, super crazy.
It's always the in-laws.
It says that he was reportedly involved with a dispute over a ranch renovation project, and he had mentioned in a text message, "I'm going to kill them one day."
Holy.
Yeah, so.
It's shocking what people are willing to kill over.
I know.
That seems like not a very big deal. I'm sure like many things piled up, but still.
Yeah.
No reason to ever kill.
Yeah, it said that he played for 6 different teams and was first drafted by the Minnesota Twins in 1992. He was reportedly suspended for 50 games for using performance-enhancing drugs in 2007, the same year his career ended.
That's so funny. 50 games. That sounds like so much. It's like not even a full series. I mean, a full season.
I know. It's like a third of the season.
Baseball's so different.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Another one is trying to find one that's not too dark. It says a Texas woman allegedly planned to inject fentanyl into a box of chocolates to give to her ex-husband. Yeah.
Jeez.
It's a 63-year-old woman stands.
63?
Yeah.
Girl.
Accused of trying to purchase fentanyl so she could drug a box of candies and give them to her ex-husband as after her recent engagement. Dang.
What the heck?
Yeah.
What's the point of doing that after you're now moved on and everything?
I don't know. She's
People
crazy.
Are crazy.
Yeah. It says that She said that it was a pretty ingenious plan, and she would have probably ate the chocolates.
She's like so proud of herself. She's like, wait, that was actually pretty
And
smart.
she said, my fiance would have ate the chocolates, but even worse, we have 2 minor children here. I'm sure they would have eaten some as well, and she had no remorse.
She is so weird.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, this is a great box of chocolate. My kids could have gotten it to them.
Alrighty. It says, woman fatally poisons estranged in-laws with mushroom-laced beef Wellington.
Poor in-laws.
I know in-laws
gracious.
are on the chopping block.
Gosh.
That one's short. That's basically what it says. The jury convicted her on all 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Dang.
Super dang. But all right, so that's what we have for today.
The world keeps spinning as psychopaths keep lurking.
Yeah.
All right, well, everyone, thank you for listening to this week's episode. We will be back next week with another episode of Siblings in Crime.
Yep. And we wanted to jump right into the episode, so we're going to keep doing that, and hopefully you guys like that.
Yeah, let us know.